This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information about ICOM radios.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live, episode number 273. Parks on the Air and the POTA Monthly Updates, recorded live on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight we're joined by Vance Martin, N3VEM, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week, Jocelyn Bro, KD8VRX, was here to talk about the Voice of America Bethany Relay Station anniversary special event that's coming up this weekend, so don't miss that. I'll be operating on that some on Saturday as well, myself. So if you missed the show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com or on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And you can always catch the rebroadcast of Ham Talk Live over on shortwave at WTWW. That's 5085 on your AM dial, Saturday afternoons. They run that about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So get your POTA questions ready to go. If you're listening to us live on Thursday night, you can give us a call. We'll give you the phone number here in just a moment so you can write it down and have it ready. But we'll talk to Vance a little bit first and kind of introduce everything. But the phone number tonight, we actually, just before the show, Marty in N1C, who takes care of our phone system, tried to reboot everything and everything looked good. And then he found out, the phone provider's undergoing a denial of service attack at the moment. So our usual phone number is not, functioning at the moment. So we'll use the backup number tonight. It's 812-638-4261. Again, the phone number that we will be using tonight to take your calls is 812-638-4261, 812-NET-HAM-1. And so we'll do that in a little bit. I'll let you know when it's time to call. Of course, you can tweet us anytime. It's at Ham Talk Live over on Twitter if you'd rather type than talk. And then also if you're on Spreaker on your PC, you can just type into the comments as well. So I'll be back with Vance right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Jerry, what's up, man? I haven't seen you at Sunbucks in a while. I used to see you every morning getting coffee. What's up?
Well, I can't afford Sunbucks 5 days a week anymore. I had to spend my money on PL259s. You know, those antenna projects I've been meaning to do. I had to do them before my HOA finds out I have antennas.
That's too bad, Jerry. I miss seeing you and catching up over coffee. You should get your PL259s from Tower Electronics. They have great stuff. Jerry, you're back. Oh, QRM Heterodyne Frappuccino. That's a good choice. How's it going? Did you get all those antennas up before the HOA police showed up?
Yeah, I got them all done. Thanks for telling me about Tower Electronics. Now I can have my coffee. I just saved a bunch of money on my PL259s by switching to Tower Electronics.
Don't get caught without PL259s. Visit Tower Electronics online at pl-259.com or at a Hamfest near you. or give them a call at 920-435-2973. And be sure to pick up some power poles, adapters, and cables too.
The grass may be greener on the other side, but at least we don't have to mow it. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. Thanks to Scott and Jill over at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show as they do each and every Thursday night. Coming up on their Hamfest schedule, Belvedere, Illinois is on the books for this weekend on September 26th. Then they're off to Texas, Belton, Texas, October 2nd. And then it's time for the Florida tour again. So Crestview, Florida on October 9th. But you can visit them from the convenience of your own home at pl-259.com. Well, welcome back to the show. And tonight, Vance Martin, N3 VEM, joins us on the Orlando Amateur Radio Club and Hamcation Hotline. Vance became aware of ham radio as a teenager when he stumbled onto some of his dad's old radio books, but didn't become a ham until 2014. Passed the extra exam in 15 and is working on some CW. Spent a lot of early years on the air from a mobile station, but he's got a nice new shack at home and but still does a lot of mobile and portable operation. And we've had him on the show before talking about some POTA events. And so Vance is back with us tonight to tell us about one of his latest POTA projects. So Vance, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, Neil, thanks for having me back on. It's been a while, but it's always fun to come on and chat with you about POTA stuff.
Yeah, it has been a while. I was looking back and I was like, wow, time has passed. It's been a good while since you've been here. So, Parks on the Air is continuing to grow, and so to keep up with everything, you've created a monthly update on POTA happenings, and you sent me the first one, and we actually used some clips of it over on Amateur Radio Newsline to provide kind of a monthly POTA update over there on Newsline. So let's talk about these updates a little bit, and we'll talk some just plain old POTA as well. But tell us about the decision to start producing this POTA update each month.
Yeah, well, a lot of it stemmed from the fact that really we've just gotten wildly more popular than we ever expected to be. As the National Parks event on the air was winding down in 2016, a bunch of people really liked the program. Jason Johnston got POTA as we know it now kind of rolling as that was wrapping up. And early on when we would talk, he'd be like, yeah, if we have like a couple hundred people that are interested in continuing to do this park operation stuff, we'll do it with a small group and we'll have fun. And in the last almost timed along with all the pandemic stuff, the growth of POTA has exploded. We basically went from, averaging, 10 to 15,000 QSOs a month for POTA to just now in the most recent July and August, we're in the, right around the 200,000 contacts a month getting made.
Holy cow.
POTA contacts. So, yeah, the growth, if we were a for-profit business, we would be like dancing on the tables and throwing streamers around. But we're not. We're just some guys having fun with radios. So we thought, hey, there's a lot of the YouTube channels and podcast people out there talking about POTA already, which is awesome. So we don't have to try on purpose to spread the word anymore. But we thought, hey, it might still be nice if there was kind of like an official statement from POTA once in a while, basically saying, hey, here's some news that y'all might find interesting. So it worked out great because, I've got a family with small kids. As we were getting started at the beginning of the show, you saw the youngest one was hanging out here with me for a little bit when we were getting rolling. And so I don't have time to do like my own like YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff to talk specifically about POTA. But I can certainly record, once a month, a 3-minute video in like 2-minute segments, and then just kind of make it available to the ham radio media community and say, hey, here's some official POTA news if you guys want to use it. So that's really where it started from. It was something that fit into my schedule to basically record a short blurb each month that, all of you guys can kind of pick up and use on the podcasts and channels. And August was the first one we did, and I have some stuff actually pre-recorded for the next couple months because it's easy to sit down and pre-record like little 1-minute intros a whole bunch in a row. So that's kind of where it came from and what we're doing. So I'm really looking forward to it because it's making the little video clips and stuff is fun to do, but letting all of you do the heavy lift of actually having channels and publishing it is, I'm more than happy to let all of you guys handle that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it can be very, very daunting, and I can tell you the last few months, with all the changes at home here with moving and new job and all that kind of thing, my time that I spend on this show is dwindling quickly, and it can be overwhelming. So I appreciate you coming up with this because especially I forwarded this immediately to my editor over at Newsline. And she's like, really? A monthly POTA update? Oh my gosh, this'll make our lives so much easier instead of trying to track down all this stuff all the time. And it's something that we can just plug and play. And so it was a very warm welcome when I forwarded your email about these updates, and so we'll try to sneak some stuff in here as well. But how do people get a hold of these updates, and how do they hear these things?
Yeah, so for just average person, if you just want to hear the updates, I'd say just tune in to your favorite, YouTube channel, podcast, and quite a few of them are picking it up and going to be playing it. So the folks that everybody knows as kind of like the ham radio YouTubers bunch, quite a few of them are playing it. So if you follow those YouTube channels, obviously Karen had a really pleasant email exchange with Karen back and forth about, just making sure she was on the list so that Amateur Radio Newsline could pick the pieces out of it that work for them. So really just, make sure you follow along with your favorite ham radio media outlets. And if you happen to have a podcast, YouTube channel, blog, if you talk about ham radio news, just shoot me an email, and it's a pretty easy email. I'm n3vem@parksontheair.com, and if you just shoot me an email and say, hey, yeah, I'd like to get on the mailing list, what I do, because I'm not in the business of production and publishing, once a month I drop the video file and an audio only file in a Google Drive and send it out to the mailing list and say, here it is, folks, and take it and use it as you please on your channels. So that's really kind of the way I'm distributing it.
All right. Well, let's do a little live version of this, and I don't want to just play the thing here since you're here tonight. So what is the latest news about POTA? I think I heard something about you just added a whole slew of parks. Yeah, I can actually buzz through and give you put on my deep radio announcer voice. Put on the announcer voice. Yes.
And I can buzz through. So yeah, the exciting announcement is that we just added over 1,000 parks to the Parks on the Air system, which it took surprisingly long to get 1,000 parks added. So for the last several months, we've had a group of volunteers basically collecting requests from people in their state for parks that they think they should be added. Those volunteers combed through those requests to make sure that they were valid parks, that they fit the criteria for POTA, and each state had one person who put together those lists in their parks. They went to another volunteer, John, who consolidated all of those lists into a big file, and then myself and a couple of the other database admin had the job of basically running the scripts and doing the inserts to get all that stuff into the system. So yeah, there's 1,000 new parks in the system for the U.S. and then over the next number of months and even probably a year or more, we're going to be doing the same effort with a lot of DX entities. So now we're starting to really comb through and get some DX entities added also. And then the other thing that we shared during this update was that we formalized a POTA support desk. So because of that wild growth I talked about at the beginning, we've now got 15,000 users, which essentially 15,000 users was too many people for just like me and Jason to answer support tickets by ourselves. So we have a small contingent of volunteers that now make up the POTA support desk. So we have essentially a volunteer for every day of the week. So whenever you send a ticket in to help@parksontheair.com, you'll get a response, usually within 24 hours, but no worse than 48. And if it's a real complicated request, the response might be, hey, we've got to escalate this to level 2. But if you have a fairly standard question, you'll get a response pretty quick. So those were kind of our big news items for this month.
Yeah, and if you've ever called into tech support, you're used to that. Okay, can you just escalate me to level 2?
Yeah.
Yes,
Which
I've unplugged it and plugged it back in. Can you just,
I'll give you the POTA secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. Level 2 technical support is basically Vance on the weekends. So during the week, everybody else tries their best to answer the questions, and then anything that they can't figure out, they punt to me to figure out on the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I always, every time I call in about something, it's like, yes, I've already rebooted. I've already done this. I've already done that. I've already done. Oh, okay. Well, can you just skip me to level 2? And they don't, but well, I try. Well, that's some cool stuff, and I don't know why, and I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but I just my brain went back to my hometown growing up, and I'm like, there was a park just down the street. It was called Leicester Square, and it was one square block, and that was it. So would Leicester Square count as a POTA? Could you register that?
Well, it would depend on the criteria. So I'd have to look it up to see if it is a park in the system or not. But essentially, what makes a POTA park eligible to be part of POTA is essentially if it's owned or managed by a state entity or higher. So if it's like a state or federal entity that owns and manages it, then it's eligible to be a POTA park. So if it's like a county park or a city park, those generally aren't in the system. And then, state parks and things are. And that's really if no reason other than just to keep the numbers reasonable, because once you go below the state level park and you start hitting like city and county parks, the numbers of parks in the U.S. is just like astronomical to manage. Yeah. So,
you just answered my question. A city park that's one square block, which was where I that was probably the other place that I hung out besides home. That's not going to cut it because you're going to have millions.
Yep. Yeah. And it's what we found, especially since we went through and did this big push and got these 1,000 plus parks in. Essentially, that was all what we kind of considered cleanup. So we had, when we first set up the parks in the system, an even smaller group of people kind of took their best shot at making sure we had all the state parks and federal parks listed. But there was, obviously quite a few that we were missing. And that became like the big chore, was combing through all the stuff, because, a lot of people said, well, hey, there's this park near me that I think is state owned. And so then there was a lot of homework to figure out, hey, is this actually a state park? Is it a county park? And there was a lot of time on the phone with state departments of natural resources and city and county parks and rec department saying, like, hey, do you own this park? Does the state own that park? So it was quite a chore.
Oh, I imagine it would be. So, but at least a lot of states anyway have those indexed on a web page, so you can get those. But I'm sure there's a lot of phone backup needed there for some that got overlooked, or they just don't do a good job of listing those on their website. So. Cool stuff. Well, there we go. The mental trip back to Leicester Square in Vincennes, Indiana. So if anybody knows where Leicester Square is, you're very special, because
assign them 10 extra internet points.
We'll give you 100 extra points if you know where Leicester Square is, because it's just a tiny little park, but spent a lot of time there. So. All right. Well, before we take a break here, do just want to be clear. Last night, I sent out a picture on social media to promote our POTA theme for tonight, and the photo wasn't Vance. So if anybody thinks that was Vance, that wasn't Vance. I was just looking for a fun photo you use about POTA, and I found one with Shane, K5QBF. He was doing a POTA activation, and as I said earlier in the show, the time that I spend on this show is dwindled a lot, and so I was in a hurry, and I didn't look and see, that's a thumbnail from a YouTube video. And I didn't get permission from everybody, so we got it all worked out last night. So thanks to Ham Radio DX for letting me keep the photo up, and I talked to Shane some last night. It was good to meet him and talk to him, and got permission from him as well to do that. So my apologies for not doing my due diligence there as I normally do. So. And my apologies to you if that caused an issue of, people thinking that you were Shane or Shane were you, or however that went.
Yeah, no harm on my end. I'm actually I'm a hard one to find pictures of on the internet. So it's only within the last few months, when I started doing a little bit of PR stuff on some of the YouTube channels for POTA, that was actually the first time my face appeared on the internet. So,
wow.
So I'm a hard one to find. I'm a hard one to find a picture of. Up until like 2 weeks ago, my face was not on the internet anywhere. So I made it to almost 40 before my face showed up on the internet. So that's got to be some kind of record.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, Shane had one. He's like, "This is Vance," and I'm like, yeah. But thanks to Shane, and he has a YouTube channel, and you can hear about this story. And actually, the picture he was telling me about, the picture, he said that activation is just a miserably difficult activation to do, right in the middle of a solar storm. And so if you want to hear more about that, you can check out Shane's YouTube channel. It's called This Side of the Radio. And you can hear about that one and many more. So check that out. Again, that's Shane, K5QBF. And then from Australia, it's the Ham Radio DX YouTube channel there, too. So check them out as well. And I know you all have been on their shows before, too. So check them out. Well, it's time to take a break, so I'll be back with Vance right after this word from ICOM America right here on Ham Talk Live. Contest remotely or from the comfort of your own home. ICOM has the perfect base station ready for action. The IC9700, IC7610, and the IC7300 SDR transceivers are top of the line and are the first choice for contesters across the globe. Robust base stations like these cut through pileups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Stay connected and keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Heard it, worked it, logged it. Create your own band opening with the IC9700. This transceiver brings direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy, faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. It has a 4.3-inch color TFT LCD screen, real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels in full duplex in satellite mode, and dual watch operation. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR can pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent ones. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has RF direct sampling, 110 dB RMDR, independent dual receiver, and dual digicell. The IC7300 changed the way entry-level HF is designed. This high-performance innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. With RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD card slot. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios.
Join the conversation. Give us a call at 859-982-7373. Again, the number to call is 859-982-7373. Or, if you'd rather type than talk, tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Now, here's Neil Rapp with more Ham Talk Live.
Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. We're on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks to ICOM America for sponsoring the show. Be sure you check them out at icomamerica.com/amateur. And again, the phone lines, the phone provider is in a denial of service attack. You never know. That's the beauty of live radio. You never know what's going to happen. So, the usual number isn't working at the moment. So, we'll use our backup line. It's 812-638-4261. Again, don't call the 7373 number because it's not going to work tonight. It's 812-638-4261. You can give us a call right now, actually. We can do that. But first, we are going to tune in to the N9 GSU Joke of the Week.
Now it's time for the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week, the part of the show where Rick tells us a ham radio joke. The Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week is brought to you by QRM Labs. Now, here's Rick Garrett, N9 GSU, with today's Ham Talk Live Joke of the Week.
I decided to jump on the bandwagon and make my shack and everything in my house completely paperless. Everything was fine until I had to go to the bathroom.
This has been the Ham Talk Live Ham Radio Joke of the Week with Rick Garrett, N9 GSU. Tune in again next week for another joke from Rick.
Oh, my goodness. He doesn't ever stop. Well, thank you, Rick, for that one. We'll look forward to another one next week. But right now, it's time for your phone calls. So if you have a question for Vance, give us a call. Again, it's 812-638-4261. If you would like to join in, or you can tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live. And if you're listening to us on WTWW or on the podcast edition, you won't be able to call us because we're doing this live here. So, let's see. If I punch the buttons correctly, we have a caller on the line. So let's go to the phone lines. Good evening. Welcome to Ham Talk Live.
I think I saw a pop-up that looked like a phone number dropped out, so we might have lost them.
Okay, let's see here. Let's try it again. Merge call. Hello, welcome to Ham Talk Live. Hello? Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on there, but...
That was probably Facebook pranking me. I was fighting with Facebook today.
So, again, the number 812-638-4261 is the number to call, and we'll take your questions here. Or again, you can always tweet us. It's at Ham Talk Live, or if you're listening to us on Spreaker, you can type into the comments, and we'll get that here, and we'll take your questions. So let's see, on the Twitter thing, we've got your guest is a darn handsome guy, but that was from Vance. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, he must be a very flattering gentleman.
Yeah, must be. Well, let's talk about some other, POTA activations that you've been involved with in getting going, some of the bigger ones that have been going on. Let's just talk a little POTA directly tonight here. Yeah,
there's been with how popular POTA has gotten, there's been you can pretty much any time of day or night, day of the week, you can almost always find a POTA station on the air now. And so one of the things I had actually looked at in August is, for the month ending August, I was like, I wonder if there's any like specific parks out there that are like super popular. And so I, did some number crunching in the database with some of the stuff we use in the back end, and the park that popped up that actually got activated the most in the month of August was, and I'm going to butcher the name of it, but I'm going to do my best, is Monsanto State Park. And I thought, I got to Google this park, see why so many people went to this park in August. And I looked, and like all of the activations happened like right around a couple day window, and then I looked more, and I'm like, I know what's going on. It just happened to be the park that is closest to where they do the Huntsville Ham Fest. So Monsanto State Park got an influx of ham radio operators during Huntsville, and there was, I don't know, a couple dozen different operators went out to that park over the course of the weekend and activated it while it was there. And as far as parks go, that's a really cool park. So one of the things I'll probably start doing during the updates is kind of sharing a park of the month. And that park has some really cool cabins that were built in the 1930s as part of the Civilian Conservation Corps. So yeah, I'd say go ahead and Google Monsanto State Park near Huntsville, and it looks like that'd be a fun place to go and rent a cabin and play POTA. The cabins sit right on a ridge line, and it looks like the ideal place to have a very laid-back POTA activation.
All right. Well, that sounds cool. All right. Well, we're going to try the phone lines again here. We merged the call back in again. So let's. Oh, and it just said, left again. Oh, jeez. All right, and we're calling again. So let's see here. Okay, joined. All right, here we go. Before it drops, welcome to Ham Talk Live. So much for that idea. All right. Well, RJ's listening tonight, WY7AA, and he writes in on Twitter and says, if I'm working as a special event station like W7Y, as he did, or the WW0WWV, and he is at a POTA site, can he turn in a POTA log under my call sign as an activation, or does the special event call sign need to have a POTA account? So there you go, Vance. It's tier 2.
Yeah, that is very much a tier 2 question. So that's a good one. And this is something that a lot of folks ask about. So the easiest way for me to explain it is if you think about it first this way, that Parks on the Air, we give credit to you as a person, not actually your call sign. We refer to people by their call signs on leaderboards and things like that, but it's actually the person that we give credit to. And one of the cool things about POTA is that if there's a club activation, both the club and the individual operator can get credit for the same contact. It's one of the ways we encourage club activation. So if a bunch of people want to go out with their club, the club gets credit for a club activation, but then the individual operators get credit for the contacts that they make. So the easiest way to think of it is the special event call sign being run by a club, i.e., are there multiple operators that would be submitting for POTA credit? So if the event is being run by a club, the club would put that special event call sign in their profile, and then the club would upload the log, and all of the operators would have their credit trickle through accordingly. If it's just you and you get a special event call sign for yourself, then you would put the special event call sign under your profile with the start and end dates for when you had the call sign registered, and then you just upload like normal. So that's, I think, the easiest way to answer that and explain it.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you, RJ, for listening, and thank you for sending in the question. And if you have a question, send it in on Twitter at Ham Talk Live, or on Spreaker, type it into the comments, or you can try the phone line at 812-638-4261. That's 812-NET-HAM-1. And we'll see if we can get it to work, but it's a little crazy on the phones tonight, so my apologies. All right, well, let's talk a little bit. We've got just a few minutes left here. Let's talk about some tips for, if you decide that you're going to go activate a park for the first time. What are some things that you should do to prepare for doing that first activation of one of these parks?
Yeah, so it's a very loaded question, but there are some real high level things that I definitely always like to share with folks. Really the first thing is if you're new to like HF and things like that, do some hunting first, because POTA has gotten big enough that when you go out in the park, you will get a pileup. So just be prepared to have a pileup coming at you, is the first thing. And then the second thing is, really around preparation. So we've put some super cool features on the POTA.app website, but we do remind people that, hey, that's really just a rough guideline. Like the pins that show where maps are is rough guidelines and things like that. So once you've identified a park that you're going to go activate, we do always recommend, hey, go look up that park online and find that state's website where they talk about their rules for parks and things like that, and just make sure that you know where the boundaries of the park are, so you know that you're set up within the park. Make sure you know the rules for the park, and that can be, there's a lot of gotchas. So like in Pennsylvania, we can activate, we have state game lands that are parks, but you're not allowed to use those parks for anything other than hunting during hunting season. So there's rules like that just to be aware of. So look up the rules for your, local parks before you go. And then the second piece of that is usually gear. A lot of people will say, "Hey, what's the best gear to have?" And my standard answer is whatever gear you own is the best gear to have. So the advantage of like being the DX and going out in the park is you don't have to have a perfect gear situation because you're not trying to break the pile up. The pile up is coming to you. So as long as you can get a radio powered up and get some kind of antenna and maybe a tuner plugged into it, you're going to be in good shape for getting an activation underway. So those are really the biggest tips. If I took that one layer deeper, the next thing that I often like to do when I activate a park is I'll take a quick peek, and I don't do anything fancy. I'll just do a quick peek on like Google Maps, but I'll pick the topographic layer so that I can see where, kind of the hills and stuff are in the park, just to make sure that I'm not going and setting up in like, the bottom of a river valley or something. If there's a spot in the park that's kind of like the high ground, that's usually what I try to shoot for. But, for kind of beginner tips, that's really the best place to start. We do have at POTA.app, there's a community resources section, and we do have some pretty detailed like activator and hunter guides that you can spend an hour or two kind of reading through and gleaning some tips and tricks from those things also.
Yeah, it pays to check out some of that stuff because I can tell you this summer we had the Yoda camp and we had some ARDF going on and we were like, okay, well, the Voice of America Museum has their section of the old Voice of America property. But surrounding it is a county park, and then to one side of it is actually city property. And so we were like, okay, well, we'll expand it out into the park. And it's like, the county park had totally different rules. And we finally ended up just saying, no, we're going to keep it on the museum, grounds and not go into the parks on either side. And it looks like it's just one great big park, but it actually is, divided up. So, there can be some kind of strange things like that. So, always a good idea to check that out. Well, Vance, thank you so much for coming on the show and answering our questions here tonight. And we look forward to hearing some of those updates on some media outlets like Amateur Radio Newsline and some of the others. We look forward to getting some of that information and congratulations on all the success of the program, because that's some astronomically exponential growth there, and so you're to be commended.
Yeah, thanks. We're just thrilled that there's other people out there that wanted to do it just as much as the small group of us that kind of got it started and up and running.
Yeah, it's always cool when you get that participation. So we appreciate that. And any final comments here before we go?
No, just the bit of advice that my 5-year-old likes to give every time he hears me talking about POTA, and that's any time is POTA time, and POTA loves you no matter what you believe and who you love and where you're from. So come join us and have fun along with us as we play in the parks.
All right. Very good advice. All right. Well, thank you so much. That is a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Vance Martin, N3VEM, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in, typing in. And I invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And to check out the upcoming guests, just go to hamtalklive.com. And if you like the show, please leave us a review. That's all we ask of you. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.
Well, you came right back to my CQ call. Your readability 5 and strength 9. You never once mentioned your weather at all, and I didn't mention mine.